88. As you're logging in, please be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button, and feel free to continue doing so throughout the dialogue. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, please visit jkdrebel.com, click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see cool stuff like the 4 tenets of Jeet Kune t-shirt, short sleeve, long sleeve, hoodie, coffee mug, all that good stuff. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the Jeet Kune dialogues. So my dialogue partner today, let me bring him into the stream, is Ricardo Vargas. And I have to tell you guys this. My first question to him is this. With a name like Ricardo Vargas, shouldn't you be my neighbor in Miami?
Most probably. Good to see you, Sifu.
Right?
Thank you. Thanks
But
for the invitation.
It is 8 a.m.
Yeah, here in Melbourne.
You're in Melbourne. I forget where in Australia you are.
Yeah, I'm in Victoria, the state of Victoria. Yes, I'm in Melbourne.
Okay. All right.
8 a.m.
Yeah.
8 a.m. Yes. Confirming the time. Yeah.
8 a.m. Saturday morning.
Saturday.
Guys, right. Well, thank you very much for doing this. So, my initial belief was that Ricardo and I had never met before, but in corresponding back and forth, he reminded me that we actually met in 2008 at the 35th anniversary of Bruce Lee's passing at that event in Seattle. So I don't have as good a memory as you do about that event, but you at that time, 13 years ago, what was your Jeet Kune Do? What had been your Jeet Kune Do experience up to that period?
Okay, so I have to tell you a little bit about how I did get into JKD, right? Jeet Kune Do. Yeah. So to me, my journey in Jeet Kune Do represents the spirit of Jeet Kune Do. And let me explain why I say this. I'm from Colombia, okay, South America. Okay, so you can ask yourself how a Colombian
exactly
gets to learn Jeet Kune Do. Yeah? Yeah. And even other martial arts. If you practice a Japanese martial art, you can ask yourself, like, how do you get to access to that knowledge? Did you went to Japan, or did a Japanese instructor went to your country to teach you that? Okay. Right. Anyway, so I was lucky, blessed enough to learn Jeet Kune Do from one of my classmates when I was doing my master's degree at the university. I met an African gentleman from Tanzania, okay, and this is what I'm saying, the Jeet Kune Do spirit. A Tanzanian gentleman in South America, yes, studying, okay. Yeah. We were studying theology. His name is Emmanuel Chacha. Hopefully he's gonna watch this broadcast. And so we were classmates, and one day we have a conversation about what we do apart from studies and work. And he mentioned that he was a martial artist, and I have been doing martial arts since I was 11 years old. So it has been part of who I am, not of what I do. Right. And at that time, I heard about Jeet Kune Do, and I asked him, "What do you do?" And he said, "I do Jeet Kune Do. This is Bruce Lee's art." And I got very curious because, we as martial artists, we are always willing to learn more. Always. It's something that drives us to explore, to experiment. Right. And at that time, I was practicing on my own. I didn't belong to any academy at that time. Okay. So I said, it will be awesome to catch up and interchange experiences. And eventually I can teach him something and he can teach me something. And in a very generous attitude, he agreed. And we booked our first, training session in a lunch break. And I was so impressed. I was in shock to see him moving, performing, teaching. I'm going to say this with a lot of love and respect. He's a black Bruce Lee. His physique, his quality in the performance, the gesture,
Mhm.
that Jeet Kune Do gesture. That I could see Bruce Lee in him, right? And I just said, this is amazing. I asked him, would you be willing to teach me? And he said yes. I was blessed to have him. So we started a journey, okay, training for a couple of years. And he is a Catholic priest. He was starting to become a Catholic priest as well.
Uh-huh.
So he became ordained. He was sent to another country, to Argentina. So then I continue, practicing on my own. Before he was sent to Argentina, he gave me all the information. I mean, he was practicing like kind of the approach of Jerry Petit.
Uh-huh.
So he gave me all that information to get in contact with Jerry Petit.
Okay.
And yeah, and then I was able to contact Jerry Petit and organize my training with him. So Jerry Petit was my very first um, generation, Bruce Lee
I
assistant
see.
generation that I trained with. Okay.
Right.
And then I trained with Jerry Petit. I had the possibility to learn from him and attend then after that the instructor seminars as well. And then the second stage in my journey was when I met Sigurd Richard Bustillo, okay, the late Sigurd Richard Bustillo, and I continued my journey with him. So that's the moment when I was attending the 31st anniversary of the passing away of Bruce Lee in
Ah,
Seattle. Okay,
I
that was
see.
the contest of my journey. Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Now, your friend at seminary school, how
Mhm.
did he how did he get his training?
What he told me is that he and his brothers back in his country, they were trained together, and there was a big movement, of passion for Jeet Kune Do.
Hmm.
And that's all the information that I have about that. Like, there was a group there, they were training, willing to learn, and they had, in my perception, like that approach of Jerry Petit, and
I
that's why
see.
he was passing on to me that yeah, approach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So now you go out to California. Is that where you first, or did you
Yeah.
train
All
correspondence with Jerry Poteet?
Yeah. So no. I had to go and train with Jerry Petit.
Okay.
Actually, my training was in his house, in his home.
Uh huh.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to go. I have to go to train with him to learn from him. Like that was part of like the call that I experienced. Like I really wanted to learn from legitimate sources, right?
Right. Right.
And yes, and then after I trained with him, then I mean I have to travel a couple of times when I have the chance, because I have to travel from Colombia to the United States.
Yeah.
So I have to organize my time. Number one,
Yeah.
get the leave from work extra hard to make some extra money, because imagine the currency conversion from Colombian pesos into American
Yep.
dollars. It wasn't that easy.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so sometimes in order for me to collect the whole money that and the same happened when I was trained with Richard Bustillo. For me to be able to pay for the tuition fees, and not always I could afford, the accommodation at the hotel or the 3 meals per day. So I
Right.
have to, save, and yeah, that make the journey more enjoyable and more significant. Like when you
For
have to
sure.
sacrifice a bit. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I had done the research on you, so I knew that you had trained with Sifu Poteet, but I couldn't find anything um, image wise of you and him, except for this. This looks like
Okay.
a scene from Star Wars or something.
Yeah, it's a bit of addition. I have the photos, with Sifu Jerry and his wife Ran Joseph in his home, his living room.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
not too much, like probably like 15 photos.
Right.
Very personal, very close.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Right.
but on my Facebook sometimes I post some photos.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I
but not
see.
very regular. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. If it's that personal a setting, then yeah, I understand
Yeah.
why. Yeah. Um, So from you trained first with Sifu Poteet, and then you met Richard Bustillo,
Correct.
and you started training with him. But I have so I have this picture.
Uh-huh.
Is Can you see that one?
Yep.
Okay, is that him in Australia?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
was this at your first school?
No. Um, when I met Second Richard Bustillo, okay, and when he accepted me as his student,
Hmm.
okay, and then I invited him to go to Colombia. So we ran a seminar of him, with him in Colombia, a Jeet Kune seminar,
Okay.
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 That photo that you are sharing there is very meaningful because that's the first time we met after I left Colombia, okay. And I'm gonna tell you something very significant. Richard Bustillo was in the Los Angeles. He and his wife, Mary Bustillo. She already passed away as well.
Mhm.
They were at the Los Angeles airport when I was traveling with my family from Colombia to Australia, and they were in my. I have to make the connection flying from LA to Melbourne. So he
Right.
went to the airport to wish me good luck. We have some dinner. He was, shared with my wife and my kids, and give me his blessing. That was so significant. Okay,
Yeah.
and I have been sharing those photos as well sometimes in my social media. And this is the first photo because one master, I think his name is Master Joey Ingrati from Taekwondo Academy in Sydney, invited Master, Sigun Richard Bustillo for a seminar. And of
Okay.
course, I went there with some of my, Adelaide students, and that's the very first photo after that. Yeah, that was our first
Okay.
meeting, like 3 years,
Right.
2 years
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
Okay. Now it makes sense because when I
Hmm.
saw it, I looked at
Yeah.
the equipment in the background,
Yeah, it's just,
right?
uh-huh.
And I said, okay, this is somewhere that trains kids for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
No, that's not my venue. At that time, I was teaching in y- churches, halls, community
Okay.
centers, and different
Hmm.
venues. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Right. So all of that you just mentioned, teaching in churches and in church halls and what have you, all of that changed over the years dramatically, right?
hmm, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us then about that journey. So, but let me make sure I have the time. I have the timelines.
Hmm.
So you started in Colombia,
Yes,
and the first move was from Colombia to California.
yeah.
And that was around what time period? That was what
It was
year or so?
about 2005.
Okay.
Yeah,
And okay, so and then you were in California for how
I
long?
yeah. No, I was doing training, like kind of modules, right?
Uh-huh.
Modules, and I went to train at Cherry Putty's home for 10, 12 modules days, right?
Okay.
To get his assessment, feedback, and yeah, teachings, right? And promotion whenever it was,
Okay.
due, right? After that, I was attending the mandatory instructors workshop with Cherry Petit,
Okay.
let's call it branch. Okay.
Right.
So it was from about 2005 to 2006, 2007. Okay. In 2008, I started my journey with Richard Bustillo. Yeah. And
Okay.
then similar process, because as I
Right.
said, I was based in Colombia. So I have to organize time, work, and everything to be able to go and train with Richard Bustillo, attending the instructors
Hmm.
clinic, instructor conferences, and these kind of events, like when I met you, Bruce Lee Foundation events,
Right.
taking Richard Bustillo to Colombia, and then do the same here in Australia as well. Whenever I had the chance to go to, I mean, for us, like overseas students, we always have to manage, like the time to go and train and learn, get back
Hmm.
to your country, practice,
Hmm.
teach, develop, go visit your master, bring your master to your school. That's the way we learn, grow, evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. This picture,
yeah.
where is this one?
This is at the IMB Academy, and most probably that was in 2015, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I was traveling for the first time after I left Colombia with my family. Okay, and we spent almost 10 days in Los Angeles. So I took advantage of that time, of course, to visit Sigun and train with him and share
Yeah.
some time with him and his
Yeah.
family. Mm.
So this is one of those dumb questions, but it's
There
an
is no damn
important
questions.
question, right?
Mhm.
Because it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to quantify it, but what give us an idea of an effect that Richard Bustillo had on you and still has on you to this day.
Wow, you were right. You anticipated my answer. It is difficult to quantify, right?
Right.
But I'm going to say he really, I mean, I found in him all what my inner child was looking in a martial arts instructor. I
Ah.
don't know. I don't know if that can answer your question, but
Hmm.
um, I have a very romantic idea about the relationship. Very idealistic idea. Concept between the relationship of an instructor, a martial arts instructor, and a
Mhm.
student.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's not just to transferring the knowledge of the techniques; it's having the possibility to learn the art and the philosophy from a real human being. So
Mhm.
for me, he became not just a teacher, I will say a very good friend. He did things for me that they were so significant that made me feel that he wasn't treating me like a customer,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I built that connection with him. I cherish his memory. And to me, all the efforts that I do to continue teaching and preserving the legacy is inspired by him. And he became a role model, to say the
Mhm.
least. Yeah. In multiple aspects, not just only martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your major realization. So you trained with your Tanzanian friend. That's your
Mhm.
introduction to Jeet Kune. Then you start with Sifu Poteet. Then you move on to Sifu Bustillo. Along the way, what are some of the major realizations that you had for yourself about this crazy thing called Jeet Kune Do?
Yeah. Wow. It's for myself. Okay. It's very, very personal. You know, um, one thing was to, let's say, break the false illusion of knowledge. Like when you think that you know, but you actually don't know. You think you know, but you
Yeah.
actually don't know. And sometimes you ask questions to a teacher, okay, or someone else, but in the back of your mind, you already have the answer. All what you want is the confirmation. So you feed a little bit your ego and you think, I'm right.
I have a student who will benefit from hearing what you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something that happened actually back in 2008. Mm, I have the attitude to be an student because I'm a teacher. My professional background is in education. Back in Colombia, I was working as a teacher
Mhm.
in a university, a private university, as a philosophy teacher. So my background is in that area. Okay, I used to teach, ethics for business, social responsibility, all this stuff, right? So I have to study a lot and read a lot, and I want to understand problems from the roots. Okay,
Right.
and this is me, and that's my approach to martial arts. So after my journey, my segment journey with Jericho did, okay, I thought I know now Jeet Kune Do, right? I know. I
Yeah.
train under Jerry Petit. I got a piece of paper that says that I'm allowed to teach. Wow, I'm great, right? And I thought, and without knowing, I was approaching Jeet Kune Do like a traditional style. Okay, so
Mhm.
when I went to the Bruce Lee Foundation event in 2008, and I was exposed to see and to participate in the training with Sifu Taki and Andy,
Yeah.
and then with Jerry Nakamura and all these guys from overseas as well, Richard Bustillo, um, Tommy Carruthers, all these guys, okay?
Yeah.
And I saw that, and especially the original Bruce Lee's original students, Ted Wong, and I saw them, and I was trying, of course, I was participating in the training sessions and everything, but I saw differences. So I got kind of confused because all of that was called Jeet Kune Do,
Mhm.
but they were doing it differently. So I approached Sifu Taki because I was confused.
Yeah.
And I asked him, sorry for bothering you with my questions, but please guide me because I was aware that he was at the time, of course, the senior student of Bruce Lee. And they
Right.
were close friends. So I had that question for him. Why do you guys do different things, but all of you call this thing Jeet Kune Do? It makes no sense to me.
Mhm.
Okay. And then um, don't forget Bruce Lee's philosophy, okay? And don't forget his approach, his teaching approach. He said, number one thing, the Jeet Kune Do art is focused on the individual. Number one thing. And it clicks into my mind
Mhm.
because I'm a teacher. So I have been, for instance, I'm not talking about martial arts. I'm talking about, for instance, in the classroom. I can have 30 students in the classroom and I'm teaching a very specific subject. Not all the 30 students have the same interest in the subject.
Right.
Okay, so some of them, they are gonna retain more based on their interest. And then I realized that, okay, during the Bruce Lee's journey teaching Jeet Kune Do in the three eras that we all know, yeah, individuals pay different levels of attention.
Mhm.
And from that time, I set as my personal and martial arts goal to do my best effort to collect as much as possible, the Jeet Kune Do seeds that Bruce Lee was planting on his
Right.
different students from the two
Okay.
eras. And that was
Yeah.
the benefit of participating in these kind of events because you get exposed to that. Hmm.
Yeah. When I have it here. So when somebody says about the art, Jeet Kune Do, the art and philosophy of Bruce Lee. If somebody asks you to explain that phrase, right?
Yeah.
Jeet Kune Do, the art and the philosophy of Bruce Lee. How would you break that down for them to understand what we're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. In my perception, and this is just sharing the way I understand it, okay,
Mhm.
most probably we identify the art as his martial art, okay, Jeet Kune Do.
Mhm.
And the philosophy is all what we got. Not all the people get to know the martial art, but they get to know a lot about Bruce Lee based on his quotes and his expressions in his writings.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a very simplistic way to understand. Like, one is the martial art, and of course we as practitioners of the Jeet Kune Do, we can see the connection between the art and the philosophy. Like the thinking behind, the understanding of the art, and also the human nature of the person who practiced the art in the approach. Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but
No, no, because see, because what's intriguing to me
mhm,
is someone who studied theology and Jeet Kune Do,
mhm,
like that's very intriguing. But I
mm,
haven't formulated a question for it yet.
mhm.
Right? But did you were there any commonalities in the study of theology and the study of Jeet Kune Do? Did you experience any commonalities? Probably, I've never studied theology, so I don't even know
Yeah.
what that would be like. But I'm just wondering if there was anything, if you made any kind of connections.
I did. I mean, my academic foundation is mainly based on philosophy. Okay. Okay. So I have a bachelor in philosophy. And then I did a master in theology. But
Mm,
this is the way to explain myself in that regards. We, in general, believe like in martial arts, we train body, mind, and spirit.
okay,
Usually we refer to that. It's quite common,
right.
you know, understand. So let's say the martial art can be referred to all the physical things that you do with your body, right? So you train
Hmm.
your fitness and your combat conditioning and learn some techniques. Okay. The philosophy is the mindset behind, because depending on the country of origin of the art that you practice, it brings the culture behind.
I see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So for instance, in Japanese martial arts, you learn not only the punching and kicking, you learn the culture, the way they dress for the training, all the rituals, the bows and everything. Okay. So this
Right.
is okay. And sometimes that mindset as well is transferred to the student. But also because I have been studying and researching a lot in regards to spirituality of martial arts. The most ancient traditions of martial arts, they have a spiritual dimension.
Yes.
Shaolin monks, they train the body to achieve enlightening as well. So it's an spiritual. Okay,
Right.
we know the even the Satori state in the Japanese martial arts as well, like enlightening. Okay, if we approach the Filipino martial arts, they have a strong Christian beliefs, prayers and a lot of elements. So
Mhm.
I see a lot of commonalities that you refer. Okay, and uh, I believe in a holistic approach to practice martial arts. I believe this: you cannot teach someone a fighting move, even sometimes people call them a deadly technique, without training their mind of the person. It's like giving weapons to a person. You know,
Mm.
if you don't train them, if you don't explain them, the implications of learning, practicing, and applying
Right.
that skill or that knowledge. Okay, so to me, it's
Right.
very important to
Okay.
link these three dimensions.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that may, when those dimensions are linked,
Hmm.
that's what turns the entire practice into self-development
Correct.
on the whole,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes past self-defense and
Hmm.
becomes self-development.
Correct. That's my approach. Okay.
Okay.
That's my approach.
Right.
That's my approach because um, let me share with you some experiences in the teaching. Okay.
Mhm.
Sometimes people come to me for the first time, and
Yeah.
I always ask them some questions. To me, it's my best way to understand my students and to see if I can really help them. Okay. So I ask them, okay, what are you looking for?
Right.
So if I get to know what you're looking for, most probably I'm going to be helpful for you. I'm going to do my best effort to help you to achieve what you're looking for. Okay.
Mhm.
So some people said, I want to learn self defense. Yep. And in the process, I mean, I don't want to sound, you know, misunderstood, but this is my point. I asked them in the process, you get to know the students. So you see, they don't have healthy habits. They don't, they smoke. Okay.
Right.
They eat not healthy food. They drink too much alcohol, all this stuff. So I said, I think you are concerned about a possible, dangerous situation when someone is going to attack you and kill you, right? That's why you want to learn self defense. But your worst enemy is yourself because you don't eat healthy, you don't train, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my point. So if you can help the person to understand that, then you can get into the field of personal development. What's
Right.
the point of learning a punch and a kick if the person don't get the real meaning of the process to get to that level?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's interesting because I know that in our correspondence and on your website, um, the phrase the amazing health benefits of martial arts shows
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
So I wanted to talk to you about that, because you're obviously one of those ageless guys. We can't
Thank you.
tell what year you were born because you're in such good shape, right?
Thank you.
So is that your, perhaps your um, primary approach when a student comes to you? Is it, well, look, first we got to work on getting you in shape before we look at this becoming deadly in self-defense? Is that
Yeah.
kind of your approach?
Yes, Sifu. Yeah, and let me
Okay.
explain you because it's part of my personal history. I,
Ah,
I was born and raised in Colombia in a very difficult, dangerous, okay, suburb, okay, and I grew up in a violent environment,
yeah.
difficult, So I got to see violence. I got to experience violence. So actually, martial arts became my tool to find direction. Yeah, develop
Hmm.
discipline
Hmm.
to work on a project and get out of that context. I
Right.
grew up at the times of Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was more dangerous, more difficult than what you watch on Netflix. You know, it was worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could get killed in a street fight. I could become a drug dealer. I could become a hitman. But for some reason, I love learning. I love studies, and I got to know martial arts, and that put in my mind, in my heart, the passion, and
Right.
and some kind of focus. Okay,
Yeah.
what's the point of what's the point of eat healthy, no drinking alcohol, no smoking, all that stuff to have a healthy body when in your mind you expose yourself to dangerous situation and all this stuff. See, that is a kind
Hmm.
of contradiction. So
Yeah.
you have to work on the whole human being. Work on your body, work on your mind, work on that case
Right.
your spirit. Yeah. So
Right.
this is what I want to do for my students. Like you have to work in different dimensions. Yeah, you have to work
Ah,
on your physical health. You have to work on your mental health. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I like the use of that word, work in different dimensions. That's a
Yeah.
good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in that. Mm.
um, okay. Did we talk about how you ended up in Australia?
No, no, we haven't. Okay,
Okay.
that's have you heard? Most probably yes, about the butterfly effect.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
even made a movie.
like
Yeah.
yeah. The concept behind that is like sometimes very small, little kind of insignificant decisions
Right.
generate a massive change of life. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
so I made a decision to go to work to this in a study to this particular university. I had the chance to don't do it, but I did it. There I met my wife. Of course, I changed my life. But my sister-in-law, she went to London to study English, and she met a gentleman, an Australian, excuse me, a gentleman, right?
Mhm.
They fall in love with each other. She came to Australia. They got married. My wife came for the wedding. She said, "That's an amazing country. Why
Right.
don't we think to go there eventually?" And I thought, why not? Why not? That's it. So we did all the process and we got, the visa status and everything. I was
Yeah.
sent first to Adelaide, a small city here in the state of South Australia. And from 2010, we arrived there. And in 2016, we moved into Melbourne. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason why I'm here. Yeah.
Do you know if a lot of people are aware that Australia, to me,
Hmm.
Australia is like uh, uh, Australia, like when it comes to the mentality and maybe even the structure, like the political structure of the country, is very much like the United States.
I my experience in United States was always focused on my martial arts training. So
Yeah,
I didn't get to know too much to make that. But I will say I found a lot of similarities in
yeah,
multiple aspects. The infrastructure of the countries, the what we call the first world countries as well,
right. Yeah,
the access to good quality public education and all this stuff. Really, really good. Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Because I mean, I've always had an admiration for Australia. Many years ago, when I was a little kid, I watched a movie. Um, it was the man from Snowy River, I think it was,
Hmm.
right? And that was like one of my first experiences with things Australian. In recent times, I almost every day I watch Sky News Australia almost every day because I like the way the minds of Australian people work. Right now, I swear to you, I'm watching um, Mystery Road, I think, an Australian TV series right
Hmm.
now. Like when I finish with you tonight, that's what I'm gonna
Good,
go.
good,
I'm gonna
good.
go watch. But
Awesome.
I bring it up because it just seems to me that there are wonderful things going on in that country. Um, but here in America, like we talk about this, me and my students, when we get all philosophical, we
Hmm.
talk about the immigration problem here in the United States. But Australia has its own immigration problems. Australia has its own social problems with the different classes of people and what have you. I find it a fascinating country. I really do.
It is.
So
It is.
so when you and I met, and I go, Ricardo Vargas from Australia, right?
Again, the Jeet Kune
Yeah,
experience.
right. I said I got to talk to this guy because this is unique, right?
Colombian guy teaching Jeet Kune, which was developed by a kind of Chinese guy, but he developed Jeet Kune in America.
Right.
And I'm in Australia teaching to Asian people.
Exactly. Yes.
So it
Yes.
is You know what? I feel this is unbelievable. When my Asian students they call me Sifu or Sigun or all these titles. What? It is so significant. It is
Yeah.
beautiful because to me, that's the materialization of Bruce Lee's intentions when he said, "Under the sky, under the heaven, there is but one
Yes.
family. There is no
Yes.
nationalities. There is nothing like." It's beautiful. I
Yes.
feel honored to be part of this.
Yes.
It's
I
amazing.
mean, what the only way that what you just described, the only way that could have happened is if it was meant to be.
I never, ever in my life, childhood, adolescence, and young adulthood,
Hmm.
never. I didn't plan this.
Right.
And you know what I mean? I didn't plan this. It didn't happen. It didn't happen like that. Like just something like an opportunity that arises, and
Hmm.
we have the conversation with my wife, and now I feel there is a purpose because I have met such an amazing group of people here. I owe who I am to my students.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, it was meant to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I envy you because I'm
Thank
really
you.
developing an appreciation for Australia and what goes on there. Um, I have to do so. I'm going to try to do something funny here though. I have to show you this,
Go
right?
for it. Mhm.
Okay. So you recognize that guy, right?
Let me see. I don't see anything yet.
No, there's nothing
Not
up
yet.
yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how about this guy?
Um, I don't know who he is. Sorry. Excuse
Okay,
my
but see,
ignorance.
to me, it looks like the same guy.
Okay. No, no, no. I don't know who is this gentleman. No.
right?
Interesting.
So that's a guy named Tony Blauer.
Uh-huh.
He's one of the pioneers in what today they call combatives.
Mm-hmm.
He's like one of the pioneers of that, and extremely influenced by Bruce Lee. But
Mm-hmm.
he's not identified specifically as a Jeet Kune guy. He's actually somebody that I want to get on the program,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've met him. I've worked a little bit with him, but yeah. But when I was looking through your photographs, right,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that picture of you, and I go, I wonder if anybody ever asked him if
No, no,
yeah, if he knows Tony Blauer,
no.
right? Okay, well here's another guy that you remind me of. But this picture you can't see it as it. I didn't have a big picture of it. But this is Joaquin Marcelo.
I'm aware of him. Yeah. Uh,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, I'm aware of him. Yeah. I
yeah,
know he's yeah, a
yeah,
Jeet
yeah.
Kune guy as well. Yeah.
Your speech inflection, your accent, and what have you reminds me a lot. And then physically a
Spanish
little bit too.
sexy accent.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? I thought my accent was going to be a problem.
Really.
Yeah. And it became a tool. It became an opportunity because because people has to pay attention when I'm talking to understand. So they stay focused, you know what I mean? And
Right.
and that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Man.
It,
But
it,
by
what,
the
what,
way, excuse me, by the way, um when I was celebrating the first Bruce Lee's birthday here
uh-huh.
in Australia, you know, when I opened my very first group in a community center, I sent an email to my Sigun Richard Bustillo, telling him that, you know, I told you that my relationship was very effective. He was aware about everything what I
Yeah.
was experiencing here, and
Yeah.
I told him, "Hey, Sigun, I'm attending new English classes, and I'm opening my group in a community center, and we're gonna celebrate Bruce Lee's birthday. And I feel inspired by Bruce Lee because sometimes I feel like I'm experiencing something similar because I was working doing multitask jobs. I
Hmm.
was working as how do you call this? Working in a hotel and doing multiple jobs anyway.
Yeah.
And I said sometimes I feel like in a way living similar experience that Bruce Lee when he arrived to America. And I shared this letter with him and why Bruce Lee was inspiring me to continue moving forward in my journey. So Sigmund Richard Bustillo took the initiative to share my email to Mrs. Linda Lee. And I received an email from her, you know,
Oh, wow.
giving me inspiration and motivation to pushing. You know, she said that Bruce Lee also struggled at the beginning with his English, you know, improving his accent, and he was buying books and listening to audio records and working hard. She said, just do the same, you know, like
Hmm.
that was something significant. Yes,
Yes.
feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is why I was talking with my colleague from Atlanta. We were talking about this earlier. This is why in light of the recent revelations about Bruce Lee's private life, I thought, so what? That's not anybody's business. Look instead at how many of us all over the world, like you said earlier, have been influenced by this man. So what's the big deal? We're now going to ignore decades of influence because of some silly revelations. It doesn't, to me it doesn't make any sense.
I'm I'm almost 49 years old, so I already passed Bruce Lee's age,
Right.
right? It is kind of sometimes disrespectful to compare. I mean, it doesn't make sense to compare, you know, your life with it.
Right.
But from the human perspective, you have to understand that you don't think the same when you are 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old.
Right.
So I remember reading Daniel Lee, okay, Bruce Lee's friend and student. He said, Bruce Lee, at his time, he said he was in the young moment of his life.
Hmm.
Yeah, we all have young moments,
Right.
but then you have to get into the introspection, get into the yin moments.
Yeah.
When you learn from your experiences, and when you really become wiser, is when you just look at yourself, your life experiences, what you call mistakes,
Yeah.
because they become your learnings,
Hmm.
and that's it. And you make of your darkness your light,
Right.
and that helps a lot of people. So to me, we always we have to focus on the life and the work of the person. Now, in this case, the work of Bruce Lee is so inspirational, so motivational. Like, let's focus on that. Okay,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
no one has the right to blame and judge.
Right.
Okay, that
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's just a generational thing, you know. I wanted to talk to you also about your ideas on how to become the best possible instructor for your students. I want to get your ideas on that.
wow, that's a beautiful question, and I think a lot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, um, I'm gonna share with you two kind of answers. Number one thing, I told you my background is in education. Okay, so I became a teacher at a very early age. So in teaching students at the university level, and I was very young, so I could be one of the students as well. So
Right. Yeah.
the age gap was 4 years.
Okay.
Okay, so at that time there was a lot of ego in me because I was in the position of being just only 4 years older and being the teacher. And I have to confess, I was a very nasty teacher, very nasty, like whoa, hard on my
Yeah.
students because I consider myself superior, the false illusion of knowledge, because I had to study so hard to
Right.
collect that knowledge that
Right.
that put me in the position to be above them. And I didn't have compassion. But
Yeah.
once I became a father, it totally
Ah,
changed my approach.
I see.
Okay,
I
it
see.
changed my approach because I I I expect that if my kids need support, teaching, whatever, I expect them to get access to nice people, okay, to respectful, teachers, motivational teachers. And to me, it changed my whole approach, not just in my
Mhm.
professional field in education, but also in martial arts. Okay, now a teacher is a student, must be a student always.
Right.
Okay, so you can always put yourself in the position of the student, right? And to me, the success of the education process, which is the transferring of the knowledge from teacher to the student, to me, my perception is more than 70% of the responsibility and the success of that is not in the teacher, it's in the student. Okay?
Ah, really?
Yeah, let me explain you why.
Interesting.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you why.
Yes.
Look at this. I told you, as a human being, I could be full of my knowledge, of my ego, that I don't allow myself to receive the new knowledge. And I could have in front of me Bruce Lee himself willing to teach me Jeet Kune. But
Right.
if I'm not willing to receive, it's not gonna happen. Okay? So to me, it's more like that. And I believe this old saying in martial arts, like I said, when the student is ready, the master appears.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in that. I met my first Jeet Kune Do instructor, in an unexpected time.
Right.
I mean, so to me,
Yeah.
my life is full of that magic. And when my students come to me, uh, I believe they are in a very significant moment of their life that they are ready, if
Okay.
they are. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna do my best, despite my limitations, my ignorance, because I'm still ignorant. Okay. So
Mhm.
I said to myself, I'm gonna do all my best to transfer to you all my knowledge. If I have an answer, I'm just going to transfer it to you. If I don't have an answer, I will research.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the supposed second part of that statement that
Tell
says,
me.
when the student is really ready, the teacher disappears?
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful and significant because to me, the presence, okay, and the absence of Richard Bustillo really marked my life.
Ah, I see.
So
I see.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you very much because that really touched my heart and my mind.
No, thank you,
Beautiful.
because yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh man.
Let me tell you something. I had the blessing, the privilege to learn Jeet Kune and get some rankings from Jerry Petit and Richard Bustillo. But I did my best effort to research from all these gentlemen, Taki Kimura, Tilbon, Jesse Glor, all this. Okay, good, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the point of doing that? Just to feed my ego library, my wall full of certificates, and what's the point of that if I don't share it? Now, when Sigmund Bustillo passed away, I couldn't make his funeral. I was really, really affected because
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
But that event really made me think about the whole purpose of all my research project and all this, because I thought, okay, what I'm going to do with all this knowledge, with all this legacy. That's why the name of my academy now is Legacy. It used to be Ricardo Vargas Jeet Kune.
Yes. I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, it
Yeah.
used to be like that.
Right.
Now it's legacy because you know what? It doesn't belong to me.
Right.
I'm just playing my role
Hmm.
in a chain of events for generations. Okay, and I don't want to hold that only for me. So my focus now is on teaching. My focus now is on teaching instructors.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
to
there are
passing on the
branches.
legacy.
Right.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
there branches of legacy in other parts of Australia,
Um, I have
or just
students.
other groups?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I arrived to Adelaide. I came to
Hmm.
Adelaide, and this is where I actually started my Jeet Kune Do journey. There, I have an amazing group of people there, students. So I have um, 3 students there. Okay, as instructors
Hmm.
teaching. Okay, of
Hmm.
course, sharing the legacy with the community.
Okay.
Here in Melbourne, actually back in Colombia, I have still 1 student teaching. Jeet Kune
Okay.
Do.
Yeah.
I have 1 student teaching in Greece as well. Okay. And here in Melbourne, I have 2 students as well at the instructor level, assisting me with the teaching.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's no more than 8 people. No more
Right.
than that. This is not a
Yeah.
massive production of JKD instructors. It's not about that.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
about that. It's different.
How do they qualify for instructorship?
Number one thing is training. Let's train.
Right.
Let's train.
Yeah.
Training, number one thing. Let's train together. We have to spend time together. Simple as that. We
Hmm.
have to train.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of the knowledge that I have, or not even a ranking promotion, by buying online courses, and I don't want to sound disrespectful. I said that with all respect. Okay, but if we are talking about martial arts, you need to train.
Yeah.
I said I believe that the human relationship is necessary, the contact is necessary. Okay,
Hmm.
and I have to
Hmm.
do a lot of sacrifices to make it happen.
Right.
Simple as it. So we need to train. We follow curriculum. Okay.
Hmm.
The foundation of that curriculum I received from Sifu Jerry Petit,
Okay.
and I have been doing my best effort applying my academic background and my professional experience. And then I put together what I learned from Richard Bustillo as well.
Yeah.
Okay, trying to not to amplify it, but to simplify. Okay,
Right.
just to
Right.
simplify.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, this is the way we train. We
Yeah.
train. We spend time. It's not an overnight thing. Okay, it
Mhm.
has to require some effort. Hmm.
When you talked about online, the thing is that there's so much information available online, and there's not like quality control of the information.
Yeah.
So, what's your advice to instructors in terms of quality control? Because we all have students who come to us and they're like, but I saw on the internet this and this about Jeet Kune.
Sifu, we didn't prepare this, but I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to honestly express myself.
There you go.
Thank you. I believe that when a student comes to you willing to pay for the tuition, they are not actually paying for the knowledge, because they can get access to knowledge through YouTube for free. You can find good quality knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and they can buy books. I have my small, library here, and I
Mm-hmm.
do my best to enrich my library because that's my material to,
Yeah.
So it's the experience. So what I treasure in my journey is, man, I was training Jeet Kune Do in the living room of Jerry Petit's home.
Right.
And sometimes the neighbor was knocking the door and asking him, please don't make too much noise. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
I treasure in my heart that I was accepted by Richard Bustillo and the members board of the IMB Academy that I love. I treasure that in my heart, that experience. And that I developed that strong relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got to learn from him, practicing with him, with that's the value. And this is what I want to offer to my students. I want to offer to them the experience to train with me. Who I am? I'm just Ricardo Vargas. I don't want to be Bruce Lee.
Right.
I'm not. I don't want to be a Richard Bustillo or Jerry Potter. I just do my best to be me and to share with you my decades of research, practicing, understanding, even my mistakes.
Right.
Even my mistakes. And to me, that's the value. That's the value. And that answer, in a way, your previous question regarding how to become a good instructor is just be very human, very realistic in that, understanding the value is in the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something. I think it's in Dan Inasano's Filipino martial arts book, where the question is, what do you teach? And the answer is experiences, I think, right? Or that what you want to do is to provide experiences for your
Correct.
students to
Better.
grow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So the
Very
whole
good.
idea is to put the students in the situation and the exposure of experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah. Wow. All right. That's so cool. That's so cool.
thanks. Steve. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
beautiful.
So okay. So what's on your schedule for the rest of today?
Okay, it's almost 9 a.m. I have actually two bookings. One is at 10 a.m. and another is at 11 a.m. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm only teaching one-on-ones. Okay. Due to COVID, I have to close down the academy venue.
Yeah,
Right.
I heard. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and with all the lockdowns and all this stuff, that uh, small businesses, they cannot afford to,
Right.
pay for rents and all this stuff. So I'm just only offering one-on-one
Okay.
here in my JKD home studio. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's an amazing experience, being able to connect with one individual at a time is beautiful, full of
Yeah.
meaning. Mm.
Yeah. Well, hey, talking about connecting one on one, man, this was great. I really, now I feel like I should have spent more time with you in 2008.
Now is the time, Sifu. Now is the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now is the
All
time.
right.
And please allow me to express my gratitude for what you are doing. Okay, you are doing an amazing job
Thank you.
to preserve the art, to promote it in a very respectful, genuine way, and educating the community. The only thing that concerns me,
Mhm.
okay, is like with the overload of information,
Yeah,
the general community don't have the criteria to identify who is who. So I do my best effort to show in my website a little bit of my journey so that people can assess me. Again, they can
yeah,
say, okay, probably this person has something to
yeah,
offer. Okay.
yeah.
And what you are doing is educating the community. Thank you
Well,
very much for that.
no,
On behalf
it's
of all the JKD people, believe me.
thank you, man. It's similar to what you just said. I bring someone onto the program, and then people are able to assess that person.
Hmm.
Just from them being put in front of them. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's yeah, and like you said earlier, I never dreamt of doing this. This was never, like on a to-do list. Oh, start
Hmm.
a podcast and interview Jeet Kune colleagues. Never. But it's almost like now I can't live without it. you know,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It
yeah,
brings meaning and purpose to your life, and you are really helping people. To me, it's like by working on your craft, you are helping people. That's the
yeah.
whole purpose of
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's wrap up with this. Tell me somebody that you think I should try to get on the program if anybody comes to mind.
Mm, there is a gentleman in Italy. Okay. His name is Luca Marinello.
Okay.
Okay, Italy. I met him at the IMB Academy. It's because I know he's doing a big effort as well in Italy to promote, the Jeet Kune Do in a very genuine way as well. So
Okay.
Luca Marinello, yeah.
Okay. And
Mm.
your Tanzanian original, is he still around? Is he?
We are still in contact, but as I mentioned to you, because he's a priest, he is a
Yeah.
missionary. He's very busy with that. But let me find out. Why not?
Yeah. That
Let me
would
find
be
out. It
that
will
would
be
be something,
amazing,
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
I was actually planning to go to Tanzania, okay, when all this COVID
Yeah.
thing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is in my to-do list.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, Sifu Vargas, man, thank you so much for
Thanks for your
doing
time.
this.
Thank you
Right.
very much.
And have a wonderful weekend there in Australia. One day I'm going to come down and see you for sure.
Oh, amazing. Will be
Yeah.
an honor to have you here. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All right. Okay. All right. You take care. Have a great day,
You
man.
too. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye. Okay. All right. Are you okay?